What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the phone sales process, just because I see a lot of new agents struggle off the bat, and I hope that this video is going to be able to help you guys be successful a lot faster selling over the phone. Now, there's a couple main points that we want to touch on, and I'm going to go over how I do it, what I say in these different situations. Pretty simply put, there's a few different main topics and main points that we're going to talk about. First one's going to be the intro, next one's going to be the medical questions and credibility, and then we're going to talk about their reason for looking, their why, right? And then the three options that we're going to give them, we're going to talk about the company in that section and just let them know what they're taking a look at and what options they're really choosing, who the company is, that the company is dependable and reliable. Because if they don't believe in us and they don't believe in the product, they don't believe in the company, there is nothing to sell, right? So along this process, some different things that we want to do is make them feel comfortable, remove objections, and make sure that we're really just sounding like the professional, because since we are not in front of them, there is no body language, there's no eye contact, all they have to judge us is our voice. So we want to make sure that we're speaking clearly, we're speaking confidently, and we're giving them every reason under the sun to go ahead and choose us to do business with, because all these people will buy life insurance. Okay, and just another thing on top of that, this is simple. We want them to understand that. If I don't explain how simple it is, they'll never know. They could think that the process is complex, and we want to remove all the objections off the table before they have the opportunity to actually object. We want this process to be as smooth as possible. There's no time delay. It is easy to walk through. And again, we're going to try to shift their perception of the situation and have them understand that it is easy to go through. It's not a long drawn out process. There is no physical underwriting, right? This is final expense telesales. Works with mortgage protection too. Pretty similar process. So just to begin here, intro, I ask a couple different questions right off the bat. Hey Bob, this is Tyler. I got some of the info you had put in looking at the information on the different life insurance programs. Were you just searching around for yourself or for you and a loved one? Okay, I'm going to ask that question, or I'm going to ask, hey, is this your date of birth, 8/10/1998? Just going to ask, confirm some data. Hey, were you looking around for the coverage for just yourself or for you and a loved one? Right? I'm just going to ask something. I want them to just answer the question, confirm that they did do it. They're not going to, if they don't object, I'm just going to keep moving forward. If they do object, I'm just going to overcome the objection. Hey, were you just looking around for final expenses? Like, hey, Tyler, I'm not interested. No worries at all. I understand this isn't the most enthusiastic topic to speak about, but I do have an open account here with your name on it. So it's my job just to make sure that we do close that out here today one way or another. Now, when you did fill this out, were you looking around for different funeral and final expense programs or to leave a little bit extra for the family? Right? I want to ask a question after that objection comes, just because then they have to choose. Oh, I was just looking around for myself. Great. Well, there's over 30 different companies that we'll have the opportunity to go ahead and look at today. To be able to distinguish which one's going to be best for you, any kind of medical diagnoses or issues in the past, right? Right to another question. Now they're choosing, they're going to have to answer my question, and then I'm going to say something else, and they're going to answer my question and say something else. I'm just going to keep moving down the process. And the longer time that these people stay on the phone with us, the more likely they are to buy. Obviously, that sounds so silly, but we're gaining trust as we go. And if they're not objecting and they're more comfortable speaking with us, then we're going to give them more reasons to be able to want to purchase from us today. And that's what we're trying to do. So that's the intro. Clean, quick. I want to know what I have to say or what I'm going to say before I say it. That way it comes off confidently. People are going to judge us in that first 30 seconds. It's really, really important that we do come across crystal clear and we know what we're going to say in these different situations. Medical questions. Pretty simple. Just trying to figure out what company we're going to go with. If you're watching this video and you're not at Real Financial, we at Real Financial have a couple different companies that we can use. We have a boatload of them, honestly, and we're just trying to figure out what they can qualify for medically. If they're really unhealthy, going to use a guarantee issue. If they're not really unhealthy, going to use one of the products that are immediate coverage. That's really what we're trying to figure out at that point. Credibility. I just want them to know who I am. I want them to know I'm not Jake from State Farm. I'm not a quote guy. I'm going to be taking care of you and your family moving forward. I'm going to be your protection specialist assigned to your account today. I'm going to sound different, say common things in uncommon ways, right? I don't want to be like everybody else that's called them, because likely they have looked around in the past. And I just want them to know that. But I don't want to just tell them that. It doesn't mean anything if I'm just telling them, hey, I'm not like everybody else that you've ever talked to, so you should trust me. No, I'm going to put it on display, create an example. I'm going to be the perfect person to solve their problems. I'm your protection specialist. Use some different language for them to get them to understand that this is something that, we're really just painting a picture in their head. We're just trying to get them to understand who we are. And again, there's no eye contact. They can't see us. So we are really painting a picture of who we are in their head. And I just want to act like the professional because I am. And then they're going to understand that I'm the professional. And then they're going to want to do business today. That's credibility. So, I'm going to give them my national producer number. I'm going to give them my name, have them write all this stuff down so they can see it right in front of them. And then I always like to say something along the lines of this. Hey, and you know what? Take down my personal cell phone number. Now, I don't always give this out, but I want you to have it. So if you guys have questions, you're going to be able to call and text me personally at my cell phone number, the same number that my mom calls me on, rather than my work line as well. This way, if something does happen to you or you just need to reach out to make any updates for your policy, you're going to be able to connect with me rather than going and calling any insurance companies. You won't have to wait on hold or anything like that. People feel a lot more comfortable when they do that. It's almost like they sigh and there's like some kind of relief sometimes, because I think that they want to be taken care of. And when we can do that for them, they feel really good because I am just trying to act out of their best interest, and that's all they want. So, really important just to make them feel comfortable at that point in time in the conversation. Their why. This is, it's the whole process of trying to get them to purchase today. This is where a large portion of that comes from. I believe all of these points up here are very important, but this section is probably the most important. It's really gonna put the icing on the cake per se. They're gonna decide to do business based off of this section. At this point, they're not really bought in most of the time. So this is where we get them to flip that switch and get them to really want to actually do business today rather than waiting. Now, I just want to get clear with them on what they're looking for. That's the first thing I want to do. So I always ask, hey, are you looking around for traditional burial expenses or cremation if it's final expense, right? Hey, do you want to cover the entire mortgage or just a part of it if it's mortgage protection? Is the family going to have to downsize and sell the house if you do pass? Or do you want them to keep it, right? I'm trying to get some information at that point. I just want to know what they're looking around for, and I want them to tell me. I don't want to say, hey, I think it would be best if you got $15,000 for your burial. It's not their idea. I want them to come up with it. I want them to tell me. When it's their idea, they'll go through with it. When we're telling them what to do, I don't know if you guys have ever, maybe you were a kid and your room's really messy and you should probably clean it, but your parents tell you to clean it, and they're like, hey, go clean your room. And I'm like, I'm not going to go clean my room. People just don't want to be told what to do, right? Even when we were kids, it's the same thing. So I don't want to tell them what they need. I want them to tell me what they need and all about the problem, so I can present a solution that really does solve that issue. And that's sales. As well as making the process super simple, really easy for them, and just creating the least amount of friction as we go during this whole process, right? So I want them to tell me what they're looking for, maybe give me a face amount, try to get a gauge on what they're searching for. Are you looking for burial? Do you have an idea of how much that costs? About $10,000 to $15,000. Yeah, we usually see in your area it is about the same thing. Good news is nobody knows your budget better than you, John, so we're going to be able to look at a couple different options. Maybe we'll take a look at 2 or 3 of them. That way you can decide which one's going to make the most sense for you, right? You're going to be in full control of making that decision, giving them that power and ability. After that, maybe I'm saying something like, hey, do you have an idea of who the beneficiary is going to be for the policy? Susan? All right, great, Susan, and what's the spelling of her name? I'm almost trying to lock them into it before we even get into the application. Susan's going to be the beneficiary. Great. What's the spelling of her first and last name? I'm going to write that down. Now I have it. Now it's almost like we are setting up their policy for them. And hey, I just want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of this process. It's super simple. The last thing we want to do is burn a hole in your pocket. So you're going to be able to choose an option that makes sense for you, as well as the companies have made it pretty simple ever since COVID. We're going to be able to actually structure and customize a plan for you pretty quickly here over the phone. Like I said, ever since COVID, these companies have made it really easy for us all to get something put together for you, okay? Right? Going to make them know, I'm going to let them know that it is super easy for them to go through. Simple process. We're going to be able to structure and customize your own plan for you. Make them feel special about it, After we get their beneficiary, maybe I'm just going to talk to them about why they're looking around to leave the money behind to them. Do they have the money in the bank? What would they have to do in that situation? I just want to ask some questions about that situation. Hey, has anybody passed around you? Are you sure that the 10 to 15 is going to cover that? Do you guys want to leave a little bit extra? Are you going to have to be, sent anywhere? Do you live near your family? I'm going to ask these questions because all I'm trying to do is get them to explain more reasons why they need it today, as well as I'm trying to uncover some different problems. I'm really trying to get them to understand what their situation looks like, because once they explain it, they've thought about it at a surface level. They haven't done anything about it, so they haven't been shown a reason strong enough that makes them want to go through with it. But when I can ask a couple different questions, and it's nothing complex, I'm just going to ask them a couple questions, and then they're going to tell me about why they need it. They're going to tell me about who's important to them and why they're important to them, and I'm just going to sit back and let them talk. And while they're talking, I'm just going to, even when they finish talking, maybe even don't respond right away, because that little awkward silence after they'll finish talking, they might just keep talking. So give them some space, slow down in this part of the conversation, let them just talk and open up to you, because the more reasons that they tell you that they need it, or the worse their situation is, the more they're convincing themselves on why they need to go through with it today, right? After this, I'm going to ask a trial close kind of question. I'm just going to say, hey, if it's not a matter of, or I'll start off with, it seems like it's probably not a matter of whether or not you're going to get the coverage for Susan. It's probably just which option is going to fit best inside your budget, right? Okay, if that's the case, then we'll probably just take a look at those 2 to 3 different options like I mentioned before. That way you can decide which one makes the most sense for you, because the last thing we want is for a policy to be put in place temporarily. Then down the road, you're going to have to restructure a policy because it's unaffordable. So let's make sure that we choose the right one for you and your family long term. And then I'm going to talk about 3 options, right? I'm going to touch on the company, the benefits of the policy, and I'm going to give them those 3 different options, and it's going to be centered around and customized around what they're looking for. Hey, I was looking for burial. Got it. We'll go over 3 different options here. The company we're going to be taking a look at today is called Americo. They've been around for over 100 years, never missed any payout claims, and they are A-rated. The good thing about Americo is that they come with some living benefits, as well as if you pass in any kind of accidental death, it's going to pay out ×2, as well as in the event of a common carrier death, it's going to pay out ×3. Train, plane, bus, things like that, it'll pay out triple. Awesome. So these are level premiums. The price will never increase on you, and I'm sure that you've noticed in the economy recently, gas prices have been increasing. The price of gas, milk, butter, eggs, all these different things have been going up in society. You're not going to have to worry about that with your life insurance policy. These prices will be locked in today once we get them locked in for you. Okay, we don't want to wait, just because I'm sure that you've noticed interest rates have risen, which means that these prices are going to continue to go up as well. They also do go up with your age and your health. I'm not going to say all that to them, but those are just a couple of things that I like to say, just to give them some, almost like verification that these prices will increase down the road. So I'm going to let them know that, build some urgency behind that by saying a couple of those things. Again, we're just, it's like we're kicking a soccer ball down the field, as my buddy Danny Klein likes to say. Kicking a soccer ball down the field, we're just going to get it really close to the goal so we can then, hammer it home into the goal. 3 options, right? After I've explained the company, it's a great company. Here's the program. It's a great product for you. Comes with cash value. It's going to have access to the money if you need it down the road. A little bit of financial security for you and your family. Here's a couple different options. You tell me which one makes the most sense for you. And then this is a lot of people want to build this part up, make it a big deal. I just keep it simple. It's not a matter of whether or not you're going to get it, right? So we'll just go ahead and get this taken care of today. That's my attitude. So hey, here's 10,000, 15,000, and 20,000, 3 different options. 10,000 is going to be $100 a month. 15,000 is going to be $105, and the 20,000 is going to be $110 a month. Susan, which one makes the most sense for you and your family on a month-to-month basis? 15? Okay, great. Go ahead and verify the spelling of your first and last name for me. I'll get that pulled up here. Then we're into the application. If I can say anything to you guys about the importance of these different pieces, I have skipped over some of them. Medical questions you have to ask because you have to know what company to use. I've skipped over credibility before, and I find that back end of the conversation, I run into more problems, when we're getting their personal information and things like that. Intro's got to be clean. Medical questions, you got to figure out enough to be able to figure out what company they want to use, or what company we have to use or can use. And one of the things about that is I like to ask them, standard medical questions, and then I'll say, do you take any prescription medications? And they usually say yes, and I say, about how many? Okay, that many? Got it. And what do you take those for? Because a lot of people don't know them off the top of their head. A lot of people don't want to go and grab them. Sometimes I ask them to go and grab them. If they're a little bit more on edge, I won't, just because I don't want any friction to be there. So I'll say, how many do you take? What are they for? And then with that, I'm usually able to figure out what they're going to be able to qualify for. Credibility is really important. They're going to be able to trust us. Again, I'm going to mix in that line about my personal cell phone number. Hey, I don't always give this out, but I want you to have it, right? I'm going to take care of you guys moving forward. I'm not Jake from State Farm. I'm going to be your assigned protection specialist. So whatever you guys need, feel free to call and text me directly. Okay. Right? Their why, super, super important. They need to explain to us their issues so we can present a solution that really does make sense for them. In that time, I'm really just listening. I just want them to talk to me and explain their situation, because as they explain it, they'll uncover some more problems and how bad it really is, and they'll just be convincing themselves during this process. The 3 different options: simply, just want to explain the company that it's dependable, reliable, the money pays out 24 to 48 hours after the death claim gets submitted. They've never missed a payout claim, extremely, reliable, like I said, and they've been around for a long time, so no worries on them. They're going to make sure that that payment does get paid out to you and to your beneficiaries, right? And then just 3 options. Want to keep it simple. Let them choose, because at that point in time, it's not a matter of whether or not we're going to get it. It's really just figuring out which option fits best inside your budget. And if that's the case, the best time to get insurance is now, because the prices are only going to get more expensive down the road. So we'll go ahead and get this taken care of today. That's my attitude towards them. Whenever they object, if they do it back here, super calm. Hey, Tyler, I need to think about it. Joe, I can understand that, but it isn't really a matter of whether or not you're going to get the coverage, right? So we'll go ahead and start you off with a $10,000 policy. That way there's at least something put in place for, Bob and the kids, and we can always come back and add on more. The most important thing is going to be taking care of them and making sure that you have something in place for them. And if it's talking about, if the issue is price, maybe we'll just start lower so we can always come back and add on more, but there's at least something in place. That's like, it's logical. It just makes sense. So I want them to know that, we're doing it. We've been on the phone for a while. This is the thing. Yeah, this is the product. You told me all the reasons that you need it. There's no reason to put it off. Great. So we'll go ahead and get this taken care of today. And sometimes you need to be that firm voice to them during this process. We need to give them the courage and the confidence to go ahead and get this taken care of today. So when they do object, I don't want to waver. I don't want to be, on my heels. I want to be, hey, object, go ahead. Say whatever you want. I'm going to let you know that this is the right decision, that you should be going through with this today. I'm going to reaffirm the fact that they do need it today and help them make that decision today for themselves and their families. All right, guys, and that is the phone sales process.